Peace and love, everyone. Peace and love. Welcome to episode 4 of the Truth of the Matter 5-part series podcast where we are talking about everything mortgages. All right. So, as you come into the room, you know what to do. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this video out to anyone who you think may benefit from the information that we are sharing on the channel. We're just having a candid discussion surrounding mortgages because that is a really hot topic out here, right? Outside of credit cards and car loans, mortgages is like the number one topic and things that leads people into doing things, that may or may not benefit them, right? It's a heavy topic out here. A lot of people are losing their homes. A lot of people are leaving money on the table after foreclosure. There are some things that are happening out here. So I am Ready Nation Trust, and I'm joined by our special guest, Money Matters.
Peace and love. How are you doing today?
We're here for you. We're just here to, like I said, have a candid conversation and bring forth some a certain perspective when it comes to looking at what's really going on out here, right? So, like I said before, foreclosures is a really hot topic. But before we get into it, do me a favor. We're checking audio. Put a 1 in the chat to let us know if you can hear us. Just put a 1 in the chat as you come into the room. We just need to know that our audio is good. All right, so while you all are doing that, we're just going to go through the questions from episode 3 because we had a couple of things that we wanted to address. All right. And thank you all again for just putting your questions in the chat. We appreciate you engaging with the podcast. We want to be able to come back and do this again, but we just want to make sure that we're providing quality content that's going to bring you all back to the channel. All right. Okay. So we good on audio? All right. Perfect. Okay. All right. So the first, it's not really a question, it's more of a statement that we want to address. It says, my home will go to a sale today. I'm in Texas and I have a lawsuit in place and a lis pendens. But the lawsuit is a quiet title action. I do have a pretty strong case, but knowing how to enforce the evidence. Never been in a situation and not being afraid to speak up on the fraud and the misrepresentation. Now, here's the thing. When you go into the court and you begin to speak on the quote unquote fraud, you have to know that the people and the systems of the court will not acknowledge that there's any sort of fraudulent activity that's connected with your mortgage. All right. When you go into the court, in a public court, in a public setting, when there are other individuals present, and you begin to speak about things that are considered state secrets, it's not going to be a good turnout. It's not going to be a good turnout for you or anybody. You're speaking about things that can potentially create problems for the people that are in the court, such as the attorneys, the judges, all of these things, right? And especially going in as a United States citizen, there are some things that you are simply not supposed to know. Certain things that you say in a court of law are, they can't hear it, they can't see it, especially if you're speaking about private matters. Remember, they can only interface with the fiction. When you go in there as a real man or real woman, they can't see that. When you begin to speak about private matters, they can't hear that. And so a lot of people will just be like, well, they just ignored me and they just continued moving on because they can't hear you and they can't see you. If you're going in there, you have to go in there through a conduit, through a vessel that they can see and understand and interface with to get your issue taken care of. But you just going in there naked without your armor or your clothes on, they won't be able to hear that and they definitely can't see it. Right? So that's one of the first things that I wanted to bring out with that.
Correct. And listen, this is a master scheme that has been created, and you're coming in somewhere in the middle or potentially at the end trying to state a claim that you should have stated in the very beginning. So you're coming in with your hands tied, blindfolded, trying to file some type of claim or something in court, and you've already lost the battle. You don't even realize it. Let me kind of break that down to you. At the closing, you signed a document saying that they gave you money when they didn't. So you lied. So on record, you've already lied, trying to say that you didn't lie. How can you come into court at the end, on the back end of a situation, when you lied at the front end of a situation? You lied and signed your name, a blank endorsement on a note saying that for the loan that I have received. They got you in a lie automatically. So if you go to court, who do you think they're gonna believe? You and your lie, or them, the other side? So you're in a situation where it's not going to be good for you. And if you're in that situation where you are dealing with a court case, no one is on your side. No one at all. Even the Most High Father says, my children suffer for lack of knowledge. You put yourself in this situation and you say, okay, Lord, bring me out of it. But you dug the hole and buried yourself in the hole, and now you're trying to call on help. It's a bad situation, and I know millions of people have been in this situation across the country. I know because I experienced it several years ago. And you want to kick yourself because you're like, man, if I would have known better, I would have done better. But there are people that know better, and they still were intimidated to sign documentation, knowing that they never received any money, but yet they still signed a paper and they didn't read. How many people don't read? Most of the people that sign contracts do not read the contracts. So you put yourself in a situation. A lot of wise people would tell you, let them have it, walk away, and start all over. But you want to fight for something because you've invested, because you have interest, and they have interest. So because they have interest, the lender, the bank, the mortgage company, they have interest. Their interest is on the public legal side. That's where their interest is, on a public legal side. And that's why the court is going to look at them and acknowledge their public legal interest. So you have to know what's really on the table and what you don't have on the table, what they do have on the table, and how can you counteract what they have on the table. They have a public legal interest already on the table. What do you have? Nothing. You're a renter submitting, donating mortgage payments every month for 30 years. What do you have on the table to fight with?
That's a very good question. That is a good question. What do you have on the table to fight with? Think about it. The only thing that United States citizens have on the table to fight with is the very laws, codes, and statutes that they are trying to get away from. But people are saying that the courts don't have jurisdiction, but yet they're using the laws, codes, and the statutes of the very jurisdiction that they're saying that they're not a part of. How can you get away with it? Right? Like I said on the one of the other episodes, you're going to the slave master, but you're using the slave master's tools to fight the slave master. That's not it doesn't it's not going to work.
Those tools don't work on the slave master because he created the tools
to work on you.
Yeah.
Right? And so we got to come with a higher position. That's going to be the bottom line. And last episode we spoke about operating from the top down. All right, so just think about that. There's something higher. There's a higher position that we can come from. And the issue on the table is not the foreclosure. There's something else on the table. It's never about the issue that they say it's about. It's always about the accounting. Everything is an accounting issue. So when we go into court, your main question is how do we settle the account? Period, point blank, right? All right. Okay, so the second question or comment that we wanted to respond to, the question is, what books do you recommend to study? And also, it's a two-part question. And also, I was not born in the USA. Does the processes and private still apply? I am a United States citizen, but I do not have a U.S. birth certificate. All right, so let's answer that in part. It says, what books do you recommend to study? There's a lot of information out there. You could study until you're blue in the face, but if you don't have the understanding that comes along with the studying, you still won't understand.
So, when people ask me this all the time. Now, I may send them a book or two here or there, but I don't know if they really understand and comprehend what it is that's going on. And so I'm kind of taking a chance on hoping that they will say, "Hey, thank you for the books. I read them. Can I talk to you about this so I can make sure I understand what I read and how to use this or utilize this information for my benefit?" And if
Mm-hmm.
they come back to me, then I'm going to say, "Listen, I need to plug you in to the information that we have in our network so that you can understand how to take this information and utilize it as a tool and know how to wield that tool to your benefit." So I get back to that same um, direction or path. Come over to the network, listen to what's going on. Everybody in the network has read these books as well, but they are learning how to utilize that information. So it's always going to be important to come back to the source that gave you the books so we can break it down for you and then provide you additional information to go along with those books. Now,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's a lot of books. What is it? Fruit from the Poisonous Tree?
Yeah, fruits from a poisonous tree.
Yeah.
They own it all, including you. And I'm thinking about it because we actually did a study on the They Own It All, including you book. So I'm debating whether to upload that to YouTube or not. So I haven't decided yet. But it's definitely available in a private Telegram group, right? So you can come over onto the into the private network, and the it's like the private public Telegram group, because when you come over, you're there getting information, but you're not in the network until you do other things, right? But it's there for people to listen to, right? But like M said, it's like, you can read and read and read, but how are you understanding the information? It's important for you to be a part of a group that you all are working together and masterminding around the information so that you all can understand how to extract certain principles from that information and use it with your status. Because just reading with an old, outdated understanding of things is not going to help you. And a lot of the times we need to update the software of the mind, right? We got to clear some things out. We got to clear the hard drive out. So there's a lot of unlearning that one is going to have to do. And so when you begin to unlearn, you begin to replace old, outdated information and you replace it with new information and new understanding. And that's going to help you move forward, right? So there's a lot of resources that are available to folks in the Telegram group that people can download and they can go ahead and read. So we'll make that available to you once you're over there. The second part of the question says, does the process, it says, and I was also not born in the United States. Does the process and private still apply? I am a United States citizen, but I do not have a United States birth certificate. All right. There is a thing called naturalization. So if you're saying that you're a United States citizen, but you weren't born here, that means that you may have gone through some sort of naturalization process. And let me tell you, the naturalization certificate that you receive after you go through that process is the equivalent of the birth certificate. And also, if you have a Social Security card, it still works the same way. There's still a Social Security trust account. It's all the same, just like you were born here. Now, your genealogy and family tree may lead you somewhere else, but in essence, you are a United States citizen. You're presumed. The legal presumption is that you are a United States citizen, right? So if you are engaging in commerce and doing adhesion contracts and things of that nature, you're definitely a United States citizen, regardless if you were born here or not.
That is true. There's really not too much more to really add to that, but just know that uh, there's answers to the questions or concerns that you're going to have
Mm-hmm.
regarding a birth certificate. Because think about it, a birth certificate was already created for so many people. Do you
Yeah.
think that there's not an opportunity for another birth certificate to be created again for you, even though you don't have one?
Mm.
Because you already do have a social security card as well.
Oh yeah.
So creating a birth certificate is not a difficult task. It is for someone who doesn't know how to do that. And so, of course, we know how to do that. We understand what that looks like. So that's part of that private network of information and knowledge that people are tapping into left and right. And
Yeah.
believe me, people that you may see in social media, they are tapping into the private network. You just don't know it.
Mm.
You just don't know it. You're in some of the groups that they're in, and they're tapping into the private network because they realize where the truth is,
Yep.
where the truth of the matter is.
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So it's a lot of different moving parts with this. So we just hope and pray that when you all come and engage with the podcast, that you're getting something that's gonna help you look at things differently and just make a decision on how to move forward. You just have to have enough information, right? But there is always a way to service the people there. And people come to us with all different types of situations, but there is likely a workaround for your situation. They're like, oh, I don't have a birth certificate. Okay, well, if you're engaging in commerce, you definitely it all rolls up to the same account, right? You are you are by legal presumption a United States citizen. Even your activities now, one may not think that they're a United States citizen, but they are conducting United States citizen activities. All right. And there's a legal presumption there. There's invisible contracts that you're subject to. So it can be a rabbit hole at times, right? So the idea is for us to help people to get structured guidance in this, right? Because we see a lot of people that are hopping around to all of these different Facebook groups. They're hopping in and out of chat rooms. They're on Clubhouse. Is Clubhouse even still going on? They still
Yeah,
doing?
they still
I don't
got it.
hear too much about it anymore. It was pop, man. It was hitting it hard last year, wasn't they?
Yeah, yeah, they were.
Oh my goodness, they had all kinds of things going on over on Clubhouse. But anyway, it's people they're hopping around all over the place. Part of the reason is because they don't want to pay, right? And I know this. We can say this because we know it. People have the means to do things, but they don't want to pay. They hop all over the place and they try to take bits and pieces of what they're learning from different people and try to put a process together around these bits and pieces and then wonder why they crash out.
Yeah, because you think about it, that's not how you change your situation.
Mm-mm.
Getting bits and pieces here and there. You got to go somewhere. And listen, I've been down this road. I've been on this journey since '94, so I've been down this road. You can't go over here and get bits and pieces, and then come over here and get some more bits and pieces and think it's going to fit. Each each path has its own bits and pieces. So you can't go to this path and get a little bit, go to another path and get a little bit. They don't fit. Each path has its own puzzle. And it's either going to lead you to where you're trying to get to, or it's going to lead you to a dead end. And then you're going to get
Mm,
frustrated because you invested time, energy, and money. And now you got to turn around, make a U-turn, and go in a whole nother direction. And that means that a lot of the information that you learn will have to be replaced.
yes, it really
So
will.
we are trying to make sure that the truth of the matter is provided to you so that you have all the right tools and information you need to move forward with an expected outcome. And that's where
Hmm.
Jeremiah 29:11 comes in.
Yes.
We have a plan in place so that you have an expected outcome, and we know what your outcome is as well. So think about that when you get ready to take this path and follow this guru over here, and he says do it this way, and she says do it that way.
Hmm.
You gotta be prayed up before you make that step, because if you make that step in the wrong direction, your pride is going to get the best of you, and it won't allow you to turn around and move in another direction.
That's deep that you say stay prayed up. That is an important element. A lot of people do not realize that this is spiritual warfare, right? When you walk into the court, you see black robes, you receive a summons. All of these things are interconnected, right? And people think that they're going to be able to go out here without the guidance and righteous counsel of the Most High and think that they can do this. Yeah, people have to understand the enemy has taken centuries to create a machine. This is a self-sustaining, well-oiled machine, and people think they're going to come in and be able to submit a little bit of paperwork that has no substance. It has form, but it has absolutely no substance, thinking that they're going to be able to stop a foreclosure. All right. It's not that simple. It does not work that way. Your documentation need both form and substance. All right. Because you have on the public side, the fiction, that's your form. There's nothing equitable about the fiction. Okay. It's fiction. It's just form. It's a fictional overlay over all of that, which is true. All right. When you're dealing with true status correction, you're coming with form and substance. You're coming from an equitable position, a higher position, so high to the point of where your paperwork cannot be adjudicated by a judge. No legal determination can be made. How you can't get that with the laws, the codes, and the statutes. You simply cannot get that high. You can't get that high. When you're interacting with these corporations out here, you are interacting at a horizontal with the horizontal status that is equal to that of the very corporations that you are fighting in court. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work, folks. We gotta climb the mountain, go as high as we can to be able to deal with our status, use our status to fight these foreclosures from the top down. We got to fight it from the top down. Can't use their stuff. You got to separate yourself, fully separate yourself, right? And so these foreclosures, like we said earlier, is a very, very, very hot topic. It's a hot topic, and people are literally losing their livelihood because they keep trying to go into court to argue the foreclosure. The foreclosure is not the issue. It's really not the issue.
Yeah, it's definitely not the issue. I mean, when you understand what's really going on, then you understand how to move, how to navigate. But just trying to fight them on a foreclosure case, you're losing. You know, I always tell people this: um, a foreclosure is not really about you at all. It's
Hmm.
not about you at all. But the parties involved are the lender. The parties that should be involved would be the trust. But who introduces the trust into this equation? See, it's all about math. You're
Hmm.
not, you're not, and a lot of people don't know how to don't math. They don't know how to
They
do
don't know how to
math.
do math.
They don't know how to do math because there's no reason to think that you can go up against a lender. You're not even on their level. You're above them, but you're
It's unrealized.
it's unrealized. It is unrealized,
Yeah.
but you are above them. But you haven't established that authority.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
And so, because you haven't established that authority, you're like an ant and they're like a shoe.
Mm.
You're the ant, they are the shoe. But it should be the other way around. But
Right.
mentally, you're not prepared to step into that shoe because you control the shoe when you understand who you are. And even if the lender is a shoe, you control the shoe, but you allow them to treat you like the ant.
Mm, mm, mm.
And you step into their fictional court and they are controlling that fictional court.
Yep, they controlling everything. I wonder who came up with something just popped into my head. I wonder who came up with the saying fight fire with fire. Who came up with that? When you really sit up here and think about that, it makes absolutely no sense. How you gonna fight fire with fire? You should be fighting fire with water. Why would you fight fire with fire? That makes no sense. And so we going in here and trying to fight them with the same stuff that they're using to oppress us. How is that going to work? It just doesn't work. It doesn't work, folks. We got to expand our mind Think higher, coming from a higher perspective, and allow your status to trickle down to whatever situation you got going on.
And see, as I mentioned before, you're in a position, really a no-win situation.
Yeah.
So you need the right tools in order to fight your enemy.
Yes.
The trust is a tool that can defeat your enemy if you know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that trust can actually supersede or overrule that corporation. That's the lender, the mortgage company. And your trust can take a higher authority over the lender because, as I said before, the lender has a interest, a legal interest, and that's what they are presenting to the court.
Mm-hmm.
The trust can also present an interest from the private perspective. Don't you think that would be better than you trying to fight the lender in a fictional court? Because in a fictional court, the trust can still overrule that fictional court and place you in a better position to win. There's different strategies, definitely on the table. And, we discussed this in our private network because we enjoy doing this because we're winning. You're winning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's important is that you win and not lose your assets, not lose your home, your vehicle, whatever it is. You want to hold on, retain those assets. A trust will help you do that. And you went into a closing by yourself with no advisory, and you made these bad decisions, and now it's coming back to haunt you.
Mm-mm-mm.
Because you didn't follow the plan in Jeremiah 29:11. You did not follow that plan. You said, I'm throwing that plan out the window. I'm going with my own plan. And now you're in foreclosure and wondering how you ended up here. It's because the plan was a failure from the very beginning.
This is true. This is true. You got to set yourself up to win in the end. And this is why we always say before you do anything, even before you send out the first letter, you already got to have your plan in place. You got to have your plan in place.
And you need someone that's going to advise you. You need an advisor.
Yep.
A real estate agent is not an advisor. They have a job to do, and that's all they're going to do.
That's
and
it.
What we're telling you, I've spoken to many, many real estate agents.
Yep.
They don't care about this truth.
Nope.
They told me flat out, I can show you their text messages. They don't care about this. They just want to do their job so they can get paid.
Get commissions.
That's all they want.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to turn you over to the wolves, to the lender, and get their money and move on to the next sucker.
That's not funny.
But it's the truth.
It is the truth. It's the truth. Folks, listen. There's more. There's so much more. So what we did is we just went on ahead and dropped the link in the chat for you all to get registered for tomorrow's call. Tomorrow is what we on? Part 4? I think we on part 4. What is true status correction? We are on part 4, right?
Part 4?
Yeah, I think it is part 4.
People
Man, we got so much going on. I can't even keep up.
We have part 2, 3, 4 over here.
I know.
3 over there too. Yeah. It's one of them parts.
It's one of them parts, right?
Yeah.
Either way, get registered. Be on the call tomorrow. The call starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be getting into this, right? So the topic again is going to be nationality versus status. What is the difference? We're going to be talking about some stuff. Some people might get offended. I already know. I know.
Well,
I know they're going to get offended with tomorrow's call.
I know we have shared this information and invited people from social media onto the platform to get access to some of the recordings. Yeah. And I see the effect that has had on them because I see them interacting with people now in social media. And they're saying, no, don't do that. Stop what you're doing. I was like, I felt so proud to know that I saw somebody in social media who I invited to the platform to get educated or re-educated.
Yep.
And I see them now telling people in social media, don't do that. That's not what you're supposed to do. That doesn't even make sense. Don't do that. Stop what you're
They
doing.
changed their whole outlook.
Whole outlook because they got the truth. That's all it takes. You get the truth, and it changes the way your perspective is, and it also helps you to help other people out there.
Yep.
There's other people out there that need your help. I will never know them. I will never see them or speak to them. But if you get the truth, it's going to make a difference in their life.
You got to ask yourself a question. What's your why? Your why. I did a post about this on TikTok, I think a few weeks back. Your why has to be bigger than the money. It really does. It has to be bigger than the money in terms of what you're going after. It has to be bigger. You, if you put yourself in a position to serve, the blessings are automatic. Blessings are automatic, right? If you're a leader out here, if you're an educator out here, the best leaders are servant leaders, those that are creating other leaders, right? Placing other people in a position to win. And by default, you will win. So the reason why I'm saying that is because if you know something, it's your duty to tell people. It's your duty to share. We can't be out here more afraid of people than we are of the Most High. It doesn't work that way. And that's why a lot of people choose not to share because they think that they're going to be judged. I don't care anything about the judgment of men or women. The only one that I care about being judged by is the Most High. He has commissioned me to do his works. So that's what I'm doing. That's what M is doing. We're just being obedient to the word of the Most High, spreading this information. What people choose to do with this information is entirely on them. All we know that we're doing the work, and once we're done, our job is done. All right. So if you know something, share the information. People are always going to have something to say, regardless if it's positive or negative. It doesn't matter. They're still going to have something to say. But either way, you keep pushing and you keep pursuing that which you know is right. You know the system is the system ain't broken. I was about to say the system is broken. It's not broken. It's working exactly the way that it was designed to work. It really is. It's not broken, but the people that are interacting with the system is broken. They have been defeated. They've been broken by the system to the point where they just gave up. And they know the truth, but they can't get involved because they just can't get involved. And they don't want people looking at them differently. They don't want people looking at them like they're crazy. There are so many people out here that are walking around that know the truth and they just won't open up their mouth. And then you have another group of people who don't want to know the truth because then they'll be responsible and liable for that truth. Because once you know, you are forever changed. You can never go back. You can never go back. And so the question you have to ask yourself is, what are you going to do?
Now, some of you, you study scripture, which is very important because all the principles you see in court originated from scripture.
Yep.
All the principles that you see in the financial industry originated from scripture.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like if you understood scripture a little better, you'll know how to maneuver in the financial industry. It'll benefit you. If you know how to maneuver, understand how to maneuver now in the court, that will be something that you'll be more engaged in. And then you'll be walking out with a smile on your face.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have a reason to smile.
Yeah.
Now, I want to, anybody that's interested, I'm going to give you a golden nugget. It's in scripture, but I'm going to give you a golden nugget. If you want this golden nugget, just put a one in the chat. I'll let me know if you want that, because like I said, it can definitely change your life. But if you want it, let me know. I'll put it in the chat, or we can just go ahead and shut it down from here.
Mm-hmm.
But that's up to you. If anybody's interested, just put a one in the chat. We'll go from there. But if not, we'll go ahead and close it on out, and just be on the call on tomorrow evening.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not seeing any ones in the chat. Interesting.
We'll hold on to these nuggets.
Yeah, we're gonna hold on to it. So anyway, listen, folks, stay connected. Thank you all for joining. We appreciate your time this evening as we close out episode 4 of the Truth of the Matter 5-part series podcast. All right. Peace and love to you all. Make sure you click the link so that you can join the call tomorrow. And we will see you all on the call. It's going to be a great discussion, and we hope to see you all there. All right,
Peace and
folks.
love.
Peace and love to you, and we will see you in the next episode.